Dobar dan, 12.2.2026. ljeta gospodnjeg. Idemo dalje. Razmišljam si ovak, zeznu se ljudi i u procjeni, zato što misle da su svi drugi onaki kakvi su oni, što se zove projekcija. I pogotovo ovi koji mislim pogotovo na ove koji misle da novce mogu kupiti sve. Utjecaj, položaj, moć, a pogotovo misle da mogu imati vlast nad ljudskim duhom, o čemu Teodor govori. Sad ćete vidjeti na koji način se širi ta propaganda koja pokušava potisnuti istinu, ali to vam je sve uzalud. Kako ne kužiš da ti je to uzalud? I evo, opet me hiće na ovog lažnog apostola tu hrvatskog, pod navodnicima. Kad kaže, kak je frajer bio rekao, imate propovjedan se zove povezanost duhovnog i materijalnog. Ne pratim njihove propovjedi, znači ništa, nego to mi je bio neko poslao ulomak, isječak iz propovjedi. I kako lik govori da je potrebno puno novaca, jer pomoću novca se dolazi do utjecaja. A gdje je tu Bog? Gdje ti je Bog u toj priči? Boga nema, ti si Bog. Ti si sad zamijenio Boga na zemlji, ti predstavljaš Božje kraljevstvo, ti se više ni ne moliš Bogu za Božju volju. Čak kažu, Božja volja se zna opće, neki čak idu toliko daleko da kažu grijeh je molit se za Božju volju. Zna se što je Božja volja. Sve što je dobro, savršeno, to je dar od Boga. Je, ali nije sve dobro i savršeno u ovom životu i na ovoj zemlji. Prestanite ljudima bajke prodavati. I stvarati im traume i nametati im terete i krivnju, osudu, da nemaju vjeru, da su ovo, da su ono. Užas. Znači, farizejčine teške, a sad pogledajte na koji način, znači isti duh je u pitanju, potpuno isti duh, što smatraju da novce mogu kupiti svakoga, zato što oni se mogu kupiti novcem. Kao što su ovi meni nudili nagodbu na sudu, šta me tužio, apostol. Nudili su mi nagodbu. Ja nisam htjela niti čuti o nagodbi, nikakvoj. Ne nagađam se sa zlom. Sa zlom, sa Sotonom, sa Antikristom, sa lažovom, nema nagodbe. Jer kaže da je Sotona otac laži. To vam je Ivan 8.44. Otac laži je Sotona, znači ti ako se služiš lažima, šta ja imam se s tobom nagađat? Vozi, razguli, voz. Nikakve nagodbe sa Sotonom nema. Stoji pisano. Tako da ovima neće sav novac i blago svijeta pomoći u njihovoj antikristovoj propagandi. Neće vam pomoći sav novac ovog svijeta.
Here's the biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems. I mean, the biggest problem with the pro-Israel people is that they cover up for mass murder and rape. But one of the biggest problems with the pro-Israel side is that they have this mentality that says money is everything. That is their mentality. Their mentality is money is everything. They have a very Bolshevik way of thinking. And what is the Bolshevik way of thinking? The Bolshevik way of thinking, the Marxist way of thinking, is that money is everything. How do you fix a problem? Throw money at it. How do you fix this societal issue? Rob from the rich, pretend to give to the poor, and then say, oh, we're going to fix the problem. And what did the Bolsheviks do? The Bolsheviks said, we can fix all of society's problems if we steal from the rich. This is what the Bolsheviks taught. We have the evil rich people, the evil wealthy landowners, these elites, these evil people who oppress the poor, etc., etc. We have these evil rich people. Let's just take their money, kill them, take their stuff, take their land, and we'll distribute the land to the poor. We'll distribute the food to the poor. And then we will make everyone have equal pay and make everyone economically equal. And this will fix the problem. So the Bolshevik or the socialist or Marxist way of thinking is, I can fix the problem by throwing money at it. They do this all the time in America. They say, well, how do we fix the crime problem in America? Oh, well, we'll just take money from the rich, give it to the poor, and then the poor will stop robbing people, the poor will stop doing criminal activities. And that has turned out to be utter bullshit, because every time Democrats take over a city and then they implement these types of rules, the city always goes straight to freaking shit. And no one wants to live there, and everyone leaves those cities. Wealthy people with some money leave those cities because the cities are so crime infested, and the police get underpaid, and so the decent people leave those cities. Okay, so this is the Bolshevik / Marxist way of thinking. So the Israelis have the same mentality. They have the same mentality. Well, why do young people hate Israel? Right? Because the Israelis are terrified of the fact that young people, by the droves, are hating Israel. So the Israelis are saying, okay, why do they hate Israel so much? Oh, well, the reason why they hate Israel is because they're going on to X, or they're going on to YouTube, or they're going on to Instagram, or they're going on to Facebook or TikTok, and they're watching all these anti-Israel videos. Oh, easy solution to this problem. We'll just get some multi-billionaire who's pro-Israel, who's a Zionist, have him buy TikTok, throwing money on the problem, have him just buy TikTok, we'll take over TikTok, and then we will inundate TikTok with pro-Israel material.
Pa evo, baš razmišljam si tak, padaju mi neke stvari na pamet. Pa ako su oni Božji izabrani narod, to su Božji ljudi, pa kaj oni ne bi trebali po Bibliji, po Tori, zar oni ne bi trebali primati došljake, zar oni ne bi trebali pomagati udovicama i siročadi? Pa oni stvaraju udovice i siročad. O čemu mi ljudi pričamo? Zar ne bi cijeli svijet bio na njihovoj strani kad bi uistinu pomagali tim ljudima, kad bi živjeli onako kako im je Bog rekao da treba živjeti? Da ne uzimaju lihvu, da opraštaju dugove jedni drugima, kao što je Bog njima otpustio dugove. Znači, misli se na konkretne dugove. Tako da puno je tu stvari, daleko, to nema veze s ničim, to nema veze s mozgom, idemo dalje.
This idea, the problem with this idea is that it stems from the belief that money is the solution to everything. It goes back to the Bolsheviks, it goes back to the Bolshevik Marxist way of thinking. If we just steal from the rich, and then we equally distribute the wealth and the resources and the property and the production in the factories to the people, and we give the means of production.
Kontra ovoga vam je crkva, sekta, kult, kako god to nazvali, koja vam kaže, koji u biti se bogate na račun siromašnih. Jer uzimaju, pljačkaju, kaže, pljačkate udovička dobra. Udovicama uzimaju, umjesto da pomažu udovicama u njihovoj svakidašnjoj nevolji, ko što i stoji u Bibliji da treba. Oni od njih uzimaju još. To vam rade ovi po crkvama, što uzimaju 10. Od ljudi koji su socijalni slučajevi, ljudi moji. Koji nemaju, koji su podstanari. Koji su se bili doveli u tešku financijsku situaciju, a znate kak je to kad nema novaca u kući, dolazi do svađa, dolazi do svega. A oni te uvjere da moraš davati 10% novaca njima. Inače te Bog ne može i neće blagosloviti. Išli su čak daleko da su jedno vrijeme tražili 20%. Pa onda onda su rekli od bruto dobitka. Onda su se ipak vratili, jer je to ipak bilo malo pretjerano, ne? Ipak je to bilo prevelika tlaka, pa su onda ipak su se smilovali, pod navodnicima, samo na 10. Plus dobrovoljni prilog. Idemo dalje. Ne, novac ti ništa ne znači. Ništa ti novac ne znači u dan gnjeva Božjega, stari moj. Ništa. I novac nije nikakav utjecaj. Je samo s kime? Sa Sotonom. Možete utjecati jedni na druge, potplaćivati suce, odvjetnike, političare, kupovati zemlju na crno i ko zna šta se sve tu događa. Toliko o transparentnosti. Znači, s takvima kaže, ma niti jest, a kamoli ga pozdravljati opće. I takvi se, i pogotovo ti kaj dolaze u ime Krista. Matej 24. Evanđelje po Mateju 24. poglavlje. Dobro si pročitajte. Na što Isus upozoravao prvo, kad su ga učenici pitali koji će biti znak tvoga dolaska. Prva stvar koju im je rekao. Nisu bili potresi, ratovi i tak dalje, nego je rekao, pazite da vas tko ne zavede. Jer mnogi će doći u moje ime. I zavesti će mnoge će zavesti. Eto, ja sam bila jedna od zavedenih. Ali zato što u sebi imam Bogom, to je od Boga dano. Ljubav prema istini. Htjeli su me ušutkat na sve moguće načine. Istinu nikad ne možete ušutkat. Nikad. Uvijek će biti neka druga Ivana, neka druga Josipa, neka druga Petra, neka druga ne znam. Svejedno koje ime. Mario, Darko, Petar. Uvijek će biti neko tko će se usuditi i ko će reći ono što je i onako kako je. I treba li se više bojati čovjeka ili Boga? Čak i kad vam zabrane, pokušaju vam zabraniti, ucjenjuju vas da lažete, na sudu da lažete, da bi se oni izvukli, nemojte pristati na to. Koliko god da je teško. Idi do kraja s istinom, Bog će biti s tobom.
To the people, we'll fix the problem. And then they end up starving tens of millions of people because they kill all of the farmers, they kill all of the landowners who actually know about agriculture. And then what they were left with was a bunch of peasants who didn't know much about how to grow food, and they were trying to grow food, and whatever food they grew, the state stole it all to distribute it to the proletariat, the factory workers, and then millions upon millions of people starved to death in the Soviet Union, in Russia, in Ukraine, in the Caucasus, etc. But the idea was we're just gonna take it. We're just gonna take the wealth from the landowners, and then we're gonna help the poor. We're gonna collectivize all the farmland and give it to the poor. And well, that didn't do shit. It made everything worse. So the Israelis have a similar mentality. We'll just buy Larry Ellison. Yes, you're a billionaire. Buy TikTok for us. Okay, you got it, Naughton. Yeah, buy TikTok and then have the algorithm simply just push pro-Israel videos, and then we'll convince the youth to love us. All right, Don, you got it. Uh-huh. Larry Ellison, Eliason, however you say his last name, he buys TikTok. Then you go on to TikTok. I've seen it myself. You go on to TikTok, as the Israelis say, TikTok. You buy TikTok.
Opet novac. To vam je isto kao ovaj što ima emisiju na televiziji. Kupuje zemljišta tamo oko Petrinje. Parcele kupuje. A? Kaj je to, ljudi moji? Šta se tamo događa? Jer ima tamo kakve inspekcije, ima tamo kakve kontrole. Šta se tu događa?
You go on to TikTok and you search Israel, and the algorithm just inundates you with the pro-Israel stuff. I don't give a shit about this. And they have some Israeli woman with big tits in front of the camera saying, oh, worship, follow Israel, support Israel. And you're inundated with all the pro-Israel videos. And you're thinking, you're a 23-year-old guy, you're a 19-year-old Zoomer, or you're a millennial who's just become so disillusioned with Israel and the whole Zionist establishment. And you're thinking, I don't want to watch this shit. Everything is great here in Israel. Support Israel. And that doesn't convince people. You see, here is the problem with the Israeli side. The Israeli side believes if we just throw money at the problem, and if we just throw big tits at the problem with this mentality is that it ignores the human spirit.
To.
Because there is something in humanity that goes beyond money, that goes beyond our sensations. There is something called spirit.
Tako je.
And when we see Palestinian people suffering, when we see a video of a Palestinian child picking up the organs and the body parts of his mother,
Strašno.
yes, I've seen this. When we see a man holding his son who has just been murdered by an Israeli sniper, and he is weeping, and his heart is bleeding, and he's weeping to heaven, that affects us. It affects us on a very deeply human level. And they can buy TikTok, and they can try to push the tits on us, and they can try to push the bullshit videos on us, and they can try to push the big-ass IDF ladies on us, or whatever. They can push all that stuff on us all they want. It's not going to change a damn thing. Because people have seen the atrocities.
Tako je.
They have seen the evils. Their humanity has been affected. Their psychology has been affected. Then they see the Epstein stuff. Underage girls being pimped out. They hear about ties to elite political circles. They hear about the Israel lobby putting money into the coffers of political campaigns to try to get the political campaigns to do the work of Israel, to work at the behest of Israel, to work for the interests of this demonic antichrist state. You're not going to change that. There is one thing you can never reverse, and that is the human spirit. Because the human spirit comes from God. When God made man, and he took the clay, and he breathed the breath of life into that clay, that was God going into humanity. That spirit comes from God. And that is what makes us human, and this is what distinguishes us from the animals. And so the Israelis think, we'll just throw money at it. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. That's the reason why they hate us? Oh, no problem. We have lots of money. Buy TikTok. They buy TikTok. Doesn't do shit for them. Doesn't help them. Because they say, well, it's the algorithm. The algorithm is the reason why. It's not just the algorithm. Why do the algorithms push these videos in the first place? Because those videos speak to people. Those videos speak to our humanity. That's why the anti-Israel stuff is more popular than the pro-Israel stuff. So they can do whatever the fuck it is they plan on doing. They can buy YouTube, buy TikTok, they can buy X, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. It's not going to do a damn thing. Because you go onto TikTok, and it's very obvious that the whole thing is artificial. It's very obvious that the whole thing is manipulated and forced. It's very obvious that the search results are contrived. And that's another problem with Israel, is that Israel thinks we're all stupid goyim. Because, you see, I'll tell you guys a funny story. And this story reflects on how a lot of these people see us. They see the goyim as stupid people that they can manipulate and lie to as much as they want. They think, we'll just buy TikTok, we'll reverse the algorithm for our favor, and then they will believe us. They're not the goyim, they're like animals, who cares?
Otpadnici.
I'll tell you guys a funny story. This really happened, this is an anecdotal story, but this reflects on how these people think. So the year was 2007. I went to a conference that was organized by an organization called the MJAA, which I believe stands for the Messianic Jewish Association of America. MJAA is an organization for Jewish people who believe in Jesus as the Jewish Messiah. That is what the organization is about. And there are a lot of good people in the MJAA, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of evil people in the MJAA. So I spoke at a conference for the MJAA back in 2007. I was very young at the time. I don't think I was even 20 years old at the time. I was very young at the time. And I was hanging out with a Chechen American. Okay, this is a crazy story because Chechnya has become popular nowadays. Dagestan and Chechnya have both become popular. These are countries that Americans are now focusing on more because of Khabib and Islam Makhachev and all these Dagestani fighters. But there was a Chechen guy that I knew. We're sitting at this table, we're talking, we're having a conversation, and this Jewish guy approaches me. Jewish guy, tall guy with glasses, he approaches me. He says, "Hey, what's your name? I haven't seen you before." And I said, "Oh, my name's Theodore Schubat." And he goes, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm going to be speaking here." "Oh, you're going to be speaking here? Great. What are you going to be talking about?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to be talking about how all of the anti-Christian systems are similar and how Satanism, Scientology, Islam, evolutionism actually share a lot of ideological overlap and how they actually share similarities." And he said, "Well, that's really interesting, but why are you against evolution?" I said, "Because evolutionism is the foundation for social Darwinism, and it's the foundation for eugenics." He goes, "But evolution is true. It's science. It's science. It's been scientifically proven." And I said, I don't understand." I said, I said, "Help me understand this. I'm a little bit confused here." I said, "You're going to be speaking at in this conference, correct?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, you're going to be speaking in this conference, which is supposed to be a Christian conference, which is a Christian conference, and you believe in evolution. How does that make sense?" He says, "Well, Theodore, a lot of these Christians are backwards. They're backwards people who just don't understand science."
Da, evo, tak smo mi isto otpadnici ovoga, mi smo nazadni za ove apostole, proroke, ovu elitu duhovnu, mi smo otpad. Mi smo otpad od vjere, mi smo glupi, mi smo gojimi, mi smo mutavi. To vam je isti mentalitet, potpuno isti mentalitet, elitizam jedan koji je toliko oduran, to do neba smrdi. Fuj.
Okay. I said, "So what are you going to be talking about?" And he looks at me and he says, "Dream interpretation." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you later." He turns around, he walks away. Well, this Chechen guy next to me starts laughing. He's laughing as this guy is walking away. And I look at this Chechen guy and I say, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "Do you know who that guy is?" I said, "No, who is he?" He said, "He's the one who runs this entire organization.
Yeah.
He is the leader of the entire MJAA." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah. He's the leader of the MJAA.
Koji lažovi,
And he believes in evolution."
strašno. I prodaju vam
So
mesijansko
I'm thinking, here's
židovstvo.
this Jewish guy who's
Nevjerojatno.
running this massive Christian organization.
Mm.
And the whole thing is being attended to by Christians. All of the audience members in these conferences that are organized by the MJA are being attended to by Christians. And the leader of the MJAA is privately telling me that Christians are backwards because they don't believe in evolution. And he's running the entire business. And he's getting boatloads of money thanks to these backwards goyim. So later on that day, I'm having dinner. And I'm sitting at a table with people who worked for the MJAA. At that time, they were working for the MJAA. I'll just say MJAA. It's a little bit confusing. It's a little bit of a tongue twister to say AA. But these were employees of the MJAA. So I'm eating dinner next to this lady who was an employee for the MJAA. And we're talking, we're eating. And from a distance, I see this Jewish guy, who this Chechen guy tells me was the leader of the entire organization. And I said, "You see that guy over there?" And this lady says, "Yeah, what about him?" And I said, "That guy believes in evolution." And this lady looks at me and she says, "No way." And I said, "Yes way. He believes in evolution." And she says, "No way. Do you know who that is? He's the leader of the entire MJAA. He's the leader of this whole organization." There's no way he believes in evolution. And I told this woman, I said, this guy told me that he believes in evolution and that Christians are backwards for not believing in evolution. She said, well, he must be kidding. He must have been telling a joke. I said, no, he wasn't. He was being serious. No way! No way!
Kako
You
se
see what I'm
ljudi
talking about
glupi
here?
je.
Do you see what's happening here? So these people, the kosher mafia, the temple, the third temple people, whatever you want to call them, Israel, synagogue of Satan, whatever you want to call them, these people who are in the elite circles, all right, or who are running these Christian organizations, like the MJAA, they see us Christians as stupid goyim who they can laugh at and who they can mock behind our backs. And when one goyim tells the other goys, hey, this guy is evil, the other goys say, no way! No way!
Ista
You see
stvar
what
sa
I'm saying here?
crkvom, ne?
That's the
Ista stvar.
mentality that we're dealing with.
Da,
That's
da,
the
kult,
mentality. And the
kult.
problem with this mentality, guys, is that it can only last for so long. That's the problem with this mentality, is it can only last for so long, because you can fool the people only for a certain amount of time.
Da.
You can only fool the people for so long. And there will come a point wherein the people will wake up. And a lot of the people have already woken up. And more people will wake up. And it's only a matter of time when the vast majority of people are going to wake up to this. And it doesn't matter how much money the Israelis have. It doesn't matter how much money their acolytes have. It doesn't matter how much money their donor class has. No amount of money is going to purge out the human spirit that cries against injustice.
Tako je. Tako je, frende, tako je. Eto, pozdrav.